Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo, and in this episode we are going to take a look at Resurgence. Let's go ahead and see what this one looks like from a solo perspective as usual. I'm going to show you how it plays, give you a feel for the turns, and then tell you what I think about it. Let's get started. Okay folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and if you have, I always appreciate the support. Thank you so much. So what's going on in this game? Well, this is a very tight worker placement game where you are, and I should say tight as in tight resources, where you are placing workers you draw out of the bag, which you can kind of build a little bit, onto the board, and you're trying to do, basically gather a lot of different resources to try to fulfill missions to get points and to advance other things. There's also advancements in these leadership tracks, which plays a role in getting some bonuses throughout the game, plus the old priority, whoever's got the highest gets 7 points, seconds 4, so on and so forth. And then there's also this card mechanic here where you can get these, kind of like save these guys, these people, and you will get their ability to use for the rest of the game once per turn by anybody, plus you get to add one of their tokens to the draw bag, which is good. And you have this outpost or compound you're trying to build up. And this is another place that has a bunch of actions, and they're kind of blocked at the beginning of the game except for this space. But you can play construction actions to fix this and remove the rubble, and sometimes the rubble gives you points and or resources in some combination. When you complete the missions, you will move them into this spot down here, and this acts as like a little income spot, which allows you to get income at the end of each of the 6 rounds in the game, and that depends on the type of mission you completed. So I completed the starter mission during the first turn of this game. We're on the second turn, and that put the little spot down here so that during this income phase at the end of the round, I'm going to get, for each mission here, I get either a fuel or a bread. And if I get all 3 of these, then I'm able to take one of these survivors for absolute free. Just pick it up, don't have to pay the food costs, and stock my bag with it. What you're playing against are the mutants. And the mutants are driven by a simple set of cards. And they block your spaces and they take actions. And when they block your spaces, you have to pay 1 resource, or a basic one or advanced one of your choice to go there, but they don't stop you from going. It just makes it more expensive. And they take actions, and they do this according to this little chart here, and this chart will flip over. The cards you're going to use are cards to determine how you're going to stack up on the leadership track here, depending on where you commit your workers, and then where the mutants are going to go. And when this deck exhausts, you shuffle it up. You're going to go through this little deck as far as the placement 3 times. And this has 3 kind of like first half cards and then 3 second half cards as far as the leadership goes. Okay? And so basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to complete missions as best you can to get points. You're trying to upgrade and open up new levels of your compound to get more points. And as you go up in this spot, once you get to this next level, you're able to draw 5 workers, so to speak, out of the bag instead of just 4, which is where you start with. When you get to the 3rd level here, you still only draw 5, but now you can start completing these advanced missions, which are worth a lot of points. And then if you get to the 4th level, you can actually draw 6. And it's worth 9 points at the end of the game. Plus, you can't unlock these other additional levels until you upgrade your fortress. And you're able to upgrade your fortress during the upkeep phase as long as you have the minimum number of advanced goods. You actually don't spend those, but you do spend some basic goods. So for instance, for me to get to level 2, I'd have to have at least 3 on the medicine track, 3 on the ammunition track, and then I have to spend 2 food and 1 fuel. And then that would boost me up. Okay, so let me go ahead and demonstrate a couple of these turns, and then you can kind of get a feel of how it plays. So one thing that isn't part of the, at least not directly part of the game, is this blind bidding mechanism that you're kind of using to determine where you're putting your people. So in a multiplayer game, you're doing this secretly, and then you reveal, and then whoever has the most in each spot, or is tied for the most, will go up on that track. And if you have like the most plus, I think at least 5, you even go 2 spaces. In this case, we flip this card over and we see how it pays out. Now, looks like this is a really lucky card. So normally on the track, if you don't put anything on there, the mutant goes up 1. I shouldn't say normally, but you can see the differences. Turn 1, I had this card over here. So if I didn't invest in the track at all, he was going up 1. If I put 1 or 2 leadership strength into one of those tracks or one of those areas, he goes up 1, I go up 1, etc., etc. But here, I don't have to worry about him going up. So that's good. But the price is a little bit higher. Now let me go ahead and draw my 4 workers out of this bag and see what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so we got mostly the basic workers, which look like this, and they're worth 1 leadership value. But we also did get our leader, and the leader is worth 3. All right, so that's good. The leader is kind of like the wild card. He can be used, he or she, you could flip it over, I guess, can be used in any space to take any specialized spot or regular spot. And there are 3 types of special workers in this game that all have leadership value of 2, and they match different icons on the board. So sometimes you can do like this action right here. If you have a construction worker, it only takes 1 cog to repair one of these things versus the normal laborer would take 2. So it's that kind of stuff out here. All right, so based on this, I know that wherever I commit the leader, I'm going to get to go up 1. And if I commit somebody, well, I have to commit 2 somebody else's to go more. That's probably a little cost punitive. The other thing is that these spots here, the M's, correspond to those M spots. So you could, if you put a guy here, you can only send them to the M spots unless you have some kind of special card, which allows you to do, like if I've got it here, I can also go there or something like that. Same thing with the anchors, that's on this half of the board, and then the compound is over here. So as it stands, what I'm really trying to do this turn, I really would like to upgrade my my compound from level 1 to level 2. So that means getting a bunch of ammunition, getting a bunch of medical, and I've got 1 of each right now. So to boost that more, would be nice is if I get some fuel, go to the compound. So I'm going to go to the compound for sure. And that way I can get at least 2 of those. I'll also need fuel. Well, where do I get fuel? I get it over here. So maybe I'll send the leader out to that area so I can at least get a little bit more fuel. And then I need to get more medical, which would be over here. And it'd be nice if I could find a way to unlock that space. But it would cost 2 cogs to do it, and I don't have a way to get 2 cogs easily because I don't have this spot, this guy. I can get 1 cog. The other thing is I would like to secure a mission this turn, and that would also give me ammunition. So, well, that'd be nice. I don't have that person. So the leader I said was going to be able to get some fuel. So maybe it's best if I go like this. I'm just going to pile into these spaces here. And that will give me 3, 4, 5. So 5 gives me 2 on this track, which is good. So we'll get to that. All right, so I basically said I'm not taking any of these actions up here at this point. All right, but I am going to figure out, and I take that back. Ugh, darn. So, well, let's just play it out and see how it goes. Okay. So I'm not going to take anything there. That means no movement on this top track. But I did get 5 because the leader's worth 3 and these guys are worth 1. So that's 5. So it's 2 movement up here. 1, 2. That gives me a free fuel, which I'll take happily. And then I get to take away one of my workers. It's like he's been injured. So I'm going to take this one out of here. I could also take someone out of the draw deck. Let's see if I have any of those standard workers left in the draw, in my draw bag. I do. So I'm going to take it out of here. Put them out of the game. That'll help me draw better, make my bag a little more efficient. And then with this one person there, it's worth 0, so that's it. Now, let's see what the mutants will do on their first turn. So we flip this over. They are going to this spot right here. And it says when you go there, you're going to flip over one of your specialties. That's unfortunate, so I'm not going to be able to use this card this turn, and he's going to score a point. All right. Plus, he's semi-block those spots, right? They're not blocked, but they would cost more for me to use. So what I will do, though, is I will take the action that I need more than anything else at this point, and that'll be this one. That will give me 1 ammunition, and I get to choose a mission of my choice. The mission I'd like to choose would be probably this one. However, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it anyway this turn. That would help me get more ammunition, which is good from that standpoint. Although I could do this too. This one allows me to complete the mission any place I go where there is a mutant. And actually, this one may be the best one to do. And then I can figure out where that is later. So I'm going to put that over here. So I like that. All right, so I've done that. Now he flips again. And he is going to this spot right here, which is that. And that will say he's going to take the mission that gives the most points to him, and then he's going to flip this over. So this gives him 5, plus he gets 1 point for anything else that's on the card, so that's 6 points. So we're going to discard that. He gets 6 points. And then we flip this over, and on the B side, this is a little bit more of an expensive side of the card. Back to me now. I get to place anywhere I want. And I was originally going to do that spot with a fuel at some point. But I'm going to think about now accomplishing this mission. And the reason for that is then I can move up on the cog spot. This might be the way to go with it. We're going to find out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my regular worker here. Not the greatest of situations. I'm going to spend the fuel as the penalty to go there, and I'm going to get my fuel right back for going there, okay? But that'll allow me to accomplish this mission, which will allow me to, so I'm going to spend a bullet and a fuel, either or that. And then I get 4 points, plus I get to go up on one track that I want. I'm going to put this mission right here. All right. The track I want to go up on is going to be the cog spot right here. And that will give me one of those. Okay. His third and final move is going to be to take these spaces here. Nuts, I was going to go there. Now it's expensive. And that being the green building says I can pay him 2 resources, or he will flip over 2 of my things. When I'm playing it, like, if you can't flip over 2, you got to pay 2 resources, whether you like it or not. Well, that's unfortunate, so I'm going to pay the 2 bread. All right. Now I have 2 moves left, and one of them can be to an anchor spot, and the other one inside here. So the original hope and intent was to find some way to cobble together, but it was never going to happen, I guess. Some way to get this so I could unlock some more, but it's not going to happen, so that's not going to worry about it. We will do this. We will put this over here, and we're going to gain the medical supply. So there's that, because I will get a bullet at the end of my next turn for this just sitting here. All right, and then over here, anchors away. Pretty much I have to stick with my plan. I am going to go here. I'm going to spend the fuel instead of the cog. And then I get to take any one of these and put it in my bag. Well, I am a little low. Well, I shouldn't say low. I'm going to take a construction worker. I'm going to put the construction worker in my bag, and then I'll draw him next time because I know I don't have anything in my bag. All right, so that is my turn. The mutants are done. Now we go through the upkeep phase. So in the upkeep phase, we've got these 6 different things we have to do. And unfortunately, these 6 things are in the wrong order on this player aid. And I don't know how in the world they could have missed that, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So you got to go to the book to do it the right way. And the order does matter because you do gain income before you would have to particularly to potentially upgrade your compound. So you kind of need to follow it in order. So you're going to have to turn to this page. You're going to have to run through it the way they say. It's kind of a miss. Okay, so first and foremost, we'll take all of our stuff off the board, put it into the little survivor spots over here, and we'll also take the mutants off. Okay. Then I collect the items. So I'm going to get a bullet for my income there because of the mission income here, and I'm going to get one of the other. I'm going to take the fuel. All right. Then there is no event. You don't have to play that. But all players may increase their level of the compound. Well, if I had enough of these, if I had 3 and more stuff, I would have definitely done that, but I didn't get that done. These 2 get discarded. And then we refresh all of this stuff. So we refresh this. We add 2 more missions. And then because this mutant deck is empty, I will reshuffle my mutant deck here for the next turn. And then finally, you flip over any of your helper cards that you have for your for these survivors, and they're back in play. So basically, that's the game. Now, at the end of the game, you're going to score conditions here. So these are 2 random cards you get. I can score up to 7 points by having 7 fuel, and I can score up to 7 points if I've moved a total of 14 spots over there. The mutant or the opponent will always score both of those at the max value. I'll also score for being first or second on these tracks in here, and then I will score for any of the levels I've had up here. And I think that's pretty much it. Resources. So depending on how much resources, if you've passed these spots over here on this, you'll score 2, 4, or even 6 if you get all the way to 13. And you take all 3 of these, you divide it, all these resources divide by 3 and score for there. Like I said before, the mutant will score throughout the game, plus in those tracks, and maximize those. If you play on different difficulty levels, you just add 10 or 20 points to the score of the mutant. But I got to tell you, easy is hard enough, at least from my perspective so far. So let me go ahead and give you my breakdown of everything. So I find Resurgence to be a very fun game to play solo. There's a couple things that I'm already predisposed to enjoy with this game. Number one, I do like fulfilling missions. I've always liked that little mechanic in this game. That's a big way to score. But I like how the missions and the type of missions that you fulfill will also add to end of round income. I also really like the tightness of this game as far as the resources. Some people might be put off by that. I like it. I like the fact that it is not an easy game. When the mutant takes your spot, it's like, oh man, my precious resources. I've got to lose one of those. And is it really worth it? Or should I even abandon the whole plan, just send my guy back to the base or to the compound to get food? I also like that there is a big tug to try to do missions quickly to score and to get the rewards, but also to be able to get that income. But at the same time, you want to build up your compound to unlock more of those actions and be able to draw more people, which is, of course, very important in a worker placement game. Having more workers, you get more turns, more actions. Plus, you get more leadership, you get more bonuses there. So I love there's that tension there that you want to do both. I think that the mutant is fairly easy to understand how to play. It's very easy to execute. The icons are good once you've figured out how to read them, and you don't have to really refer to the rule book. But you know what? It wouldn't have been the end of the world for them to print a 1 card icon. I'm sorry, they did give you that little chart, but they could have printed something to help out with that last thing, or made it bigger, or just put it into English. If it was in English, I mean, I know it's, but there's components in here that are already English, so if they had just printed that out there, that would have been helpful and made it even easier to execute. And I think that was a simple miss. So a couple things. First of all, I really do like the game. I think it's a lot of fun. I think if you like tight Euro games with mission fulfillment and there's a lot of things vying for your attention, I think you're going to enjoy this game. But I think it is questionably, I don't even know how this happened. How in the world does your player aid in the upkeep phase not match the order, and it's like, it doesn't even match, it doesn't match the order, and it's also A, B, C, and D instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm very confused about that. A single play or a single review that would have caught that doesn't make sense, because it was immediately obvious on the first or second turn of my game, okay? Second of all, there is some inconsistency in the iconography. Sometimes it says add 1 or subtract 1 food. Sometimes it's or like, plus or minus. Sometimes it says times 1 times 2. So it's just like, well, again, a cursory look through that would have just smoothed all that out. And those things, I think, are kind of misses and make it harder to play this game when you shouldn't really be that way. Besides that, the rule book itself is pretty darn good. It's pretty thorough. It explains what you need. I do like how it lists out everything very clearly about what the different actions do, very clearly about what the different support or survivor cards do. Everything is nice and clear in there, and I appreciate that a lot. The back of the book with the icon references are fine. That's okay. I like that it's got it there because you do need those. But luckily with these icons, for the most part, they're kind of self-explanatory, which I appreciate. I would have rather seen that on a card, and I would have rather seen a better player aid listed out, or a solo thing on the back, or whatever. Again, this player aid is really good for these two signs because it tells you exactly what to do, but here it muddles you up pretty good. So I think that was a miss. There's also a little expansion here that came with mine that you could draw out different tokens instead of the 6 mutants. You might have, I think it's what is that? It's a beast or a stalker, and they do different things. But I don't need any extra difficulty enhancement at this point playing the game. So I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I think it's a good length of game. It's 6 rounds. It does not overstay its welcome, which is good. I always like a game to end just a little before I am ready to be finished playing with it, because then I want to come back and play it again. If this was a 10-round game, I think it'd be way too long. So you don't have enough time to do everything you want, which is a good thing. And you're really struggling, especially with those decisions with some of the stuff of do I go to the mutant spot and pay the penalty, or when the mutant takes his turn, do I pay the resources, or do I let him take the points? That's the other thing. Am I going to do better off sacrificing these resources, or do I give him 3 points? 3 points is a lot. That's a lot. So very interesting, very fun. I recommend this one, but just watch out for some of those other things, as far as the components and the misprints, etc., so to speak. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Whatever you decide to do in the future, I really do hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.